Being Yourself, a Pride Month fanfic by Lion King View. So, what's her name? Kovu asked his sister as he, Kiara and Vitani waited at the border to the neighboring kingdom. Once again, Kovu, I want her to introduce herself. No need to rush this, Vitani said with slight nervousness in her voice. Just a few days after Kiara and Kovu's wedding, Vitani had met a lioness from a nearby kingdom. Two of them had hit it off almost instantly. Their dates thus far had mostly taken place near the border due to how tied up they were with their responsibilities in their respective tribes. Now, however, Vitani had decided, at the very least, her brother should know whom she was dating, and so they arranged to meet her on this day at the border. It is so cute that you finally found a girlfriend, teased Kovu. Vitani rolled her eyes. It's not that cute, she pouted. No one would put any doubt on you two being siblings, chuckled Kiara. Hey, I'm not the one teasing, protested Vitani with a sly smile. Let me guess, chuckled Kiara. Kovu started it. I mean, if you put it like that, it would almost make me sound immature or something, Vitani sarcastically uttered. Yeah, and neither you nor me are ever immature, Kovu deadpanned. A mere 2 seconds of silence flew by before the trio burst out laughing. That was a good one. Now I kind of wish Kion was here, for all the dumb sibling in-jokes and such, Kiara mused. As your sister-in-law, I take offense to that, joked Vitani. True, you do count as my sister of sorts, but we don't really have any in-jokes, Kiara reasoned. Huh, you're right, Vitani nodded. Then she tilted her head as if she was in deep thought. Slowly, but undeniably visible, a devious grin crept across Vitani's face, as her gaze turned towards Kovu. Why are you looking at me like that? Kovu asked, somewhat nervously. Kiara, did you know that Kovu is totally straight, except when he's not? Vitani asked without moving her eyes, still sporting the same devious grin. What? Kiara replied, not knowing what her sister-in-law was talking about. Kovu instantly knew what Vitani was on about and rolled his eyes. You are never, ever gonna let this go, right? Kovu asked Vitani. Why should I? It is too good of an anecdote, Vitani replied. I still don't understand, Kiara said in confusion. Okay, so, started Kovu, but was promptly interrupted by his sister, who was no longer deviously grinning, having traded in said grin for a smile of bemusement. No. You get to tell your version after I tell mine, since you will probably change certain aspects to make it sound less embarrassing, Vitani said. Fine, but Kiara gets to decide for herself what to make of it, Kovu argued. Sure. So, as a quick aside, the first person I came out to as a lesbian was Kovu, and our late big brother Nuka. May the elders watch over him, Vitani began. Kovu's first reaction to my coming out was basically him telling me that he accepts it, but that he himself wasn't gay. I thought not much of it back then, since the important part to me was that my brothers loved me just the same. Cut to a few years later. Must have been about 4 months before Kovu was sent to the Pride Lands to kill your dad. I'm just kind of strolling through the Outlands, feeling bored, as one does among all the dry rocks and termites, when I suddenly hear whispering and giggling coming from a small den nearby. So I go and investigate, and what do my eyes spy when I look inside? Vitani asked, knowing the answer full well. That's right, my supposedly self-professed straight brother making out with a lion of about the same age. The lion was from a nomadic lion tribe and would be gone a week later, but right then and there, he was making out with Kovu, Vitani went on. Now this wouldn't be an issue, and maybe all those years ago Kovu just didn't know who he was just yet. The actually funny part is yet to come. chuckled Vitani. Kovu rolled his eyes yet again. When he realized that I was watching him and his, let's say, one-night stand, he exclaimed in embarrassed surprise, and I quote, "Vitani, this is not what it looks like. I'm not gay, I'm straight, except when I'm not." This alone could have made me break down laughing, but I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, that he knew what he was, and just didn't remember the right word for it. Vitani went on. So I threw him a proverbial bone by suggesting the word bisexual, which he also didn't accept. Instead, he, while still having his face licked by another lion, claimed that he's not into guys at all and that this is just a weird coincidence. Now, granted, a few hours later he actually did work up the courage to seek out a conversation with me, and then he came clean that he always had these feelings for both lions and lionesses. Okay, Kovu, you may now voice your protest and maybe tell your side of the story, Vitani finished. Kovu took a deep breath and faced Kiara. First of all, I should have probably told you about, well, my sexuality. I thought that maybe you would think differently of me, or maybe even hate me if you knew, Kovu said sheepishly. That is an odd thing to assume, given who my dad was raised by, opined Kiara. But okay, go on. So you don't hate me because I'm bi? Kovu asked, saying the word bi very quietly. Of course not. I do want you to say it out loud though. You are Kovu, and normally outspoken about almost everything, so I'm not gonna let you get away with half-arsing this confession. Say it the way you said yes at our wedding, demanded Kiara. Do I have to? Kovu asked, somewhat annoyed. Yes, or I'll let you sleep outside for the next 2 nights, Kiara insisted. Alright. I'm bi, Kovu said in his normal speaking voice at a normal speaking volume. Come on, say it louder. You're my husband, and normally not reserved about anything, she demanded. Okay, Kovu said, still somewhat nervous. I'm bi, he yelled to the heavens. Now, how did it feel? Kiara asked. Freeing, answered Kovu honestly. All this time I was worried, and now it almost feels silly. I mean, I knew these feelings all of my life, and on one hand, it wasn't too big of a deal when I would fall for a lioness, but whenever it was a lion, I would feel afraid. Afraid of what those around me would say, but now it seems odd. Thank you, Kiara, for not hating me, and thank you, Vitani, for giving me a push towards self-realization, Kovu said as he smiled at his sister. Glad I could help. Still doesn't excuse the dumb shit you said though, Vitani quickly added with a slick grin. You had to bring it back up. You just couldn't leave it there, Kovu groaned. I can't just let my little bi brother escape unembarrassed, now can I? Vitani grinned. Yeah, she is right, I mean, I love you till the end of the earth, but what you said in that den was still pretty stupid, Kiara agreed. Oh, come on, you're my wife. We're supposed to work together, Kovu jokingly complained. Come up with better excuses for situations in which no excuse could work, and I will be on your side, but say dumb shit like, I'm straight except when I'm not, and I will side with Vitani and make fun of you. Kiara chuckled. Oh, I oughta, Kovu said, just then give Kiara a playful lick. I forgot how much of a constantly kissing couple you two can be. Thankfully my girlfriend will be around soon to help me combat your constant kissing bombardment, joked Vitani. That does make me wonder though, Kiara began. What? Kovu asked. I know what your lioness's type is, but what is your type when it comes to lions? Kiara asked. Well, Kovu was about to elaborate when Vitani let out a squeal of excitement. Kovu's big sister began to run towards what at first seemed to be a small dot on the horizon, but quickly turned out to be a lioness. The lioness had somewhat brighter fur than Vitani, but it was still somewhat cream-coloured. On her right ear she had a blue flower. Then Vitani and the lioness finally came into contact, and before Vitani knew it, the lioness had pinned her down. The two of them started to exchange licks, and didn't seem to be in any hurry to stop their makeout session anytime soon. Their joy over finally, after 2 days apart, seeing each other again was more than plain to see. And so Kiara and Kovu would indeed have to wait a few more minutes longer to get to know the lioness's name. But who can blame lovers feeling the way they do? Happy Pride. The end. So as an aside, I will link some LGBTQI plus charity organizations down in the video description below, so if you feel charitable, then you are free to give some. And other than that, stay safe, and I hope you enjoyed this somewhat different fanfic reading. Good night and good luck to whomever you are.